During an evening excavation, an unknown woman named Raga suddenly emerges into the restricted area of the excavation. She repeatedly recites an evil chant about the rise of the king of hell and a reign of darkness. The supervisor overseeing the operation is furious with her presence because it is supposed to be a secret excavation, so he tells his men to remove her from the place or even kill her. The men quickly arm themselves, but Raga, an evil witch, continues to recite her evil chant. All of a sudden, the circular statue-like structure that stands in the middle of the excavation explodes out of nowhere. The explosion even ruins the various electrical equipment around the area, such as light bulbs and radio. The evil witch then raises her hands and summons Ashura, the daughter of the king of hell, from inside the ruined structure. A lady in red floats out of the structure and menacingly flashes a smile at the workers there. The supervisor shoots Ashura in frustration, but the bullets have no effect against her. Ashura then conjures a fireball out of nowhere and hurls it toward the men below her, causing chain explosions. The woman who summoned Ashura floats toward her, telling her that humans need to be punished for upsetting the balance of nature. She also warns her about two heroic figures that will do their very best to stop the reign of darkness from happening. Meanwhile, in an isolated monastery in Tibet, a man named Peacock is summoned by his master, who is also the great leader of the monastery. He is summoned because there are a lot more disasters happening around the world than usual. Suddenly, the great statue in front of them splits in half, revealing a much smaller golden statue inside that represents Ashura. The master wants Peacock to find her in Tokyo, the second gate of hell. Afterward, a monk from Japan named Lucky Fruit is also given the same mission to save the world from an impending doom caused by Ashura and the evil witch Raga. Lucky Fruit's master tells him of the ancient story of how the forces of good prevailed against darkness, the king of hell. However, due to humanity's collective sinfulness, evil is taking over again. Like Peacock, he is also directed to Tokyo. And so, bearing this mission in mind, Lucky Fruit heads to the bustling city of Tokyo. His master tells him beforehand to find the Dinosaur Expo because he will meet an important person there. Inside the Dinosaur Expo, the workers are diligently preparing their dinosaur displays. However, the lights suddenly turn off and the dinosaurs slowly come to life. A producer, Miss Okada, almost gets her head bitten off by a monstrous dinosaur, and one of the workers sees Raga's head emerging from its mouth. Upon checking, Raga's head has disappeared and the lights are switched on again. Meanwhile, Peacock has also just arrived at the modern city, which is a far cry from the monks' monasteries. Immediately, he sees tiny monsters swarming inside a hamburger container. He uses his monk powers to set free a nearby chained dog. The black dog quickly devours one of the tiny monsters, although most of them have managed to escape. At the same time, Lucky Fruit is calmly wandering through a shopping mall in the city, not caring for other people's judging gazes and ridicule toward his monk attire and equipment. As he walks around the department store, he bumps into Miss Okada. Immediately, Lucky Fruit is taken inside an office with Miss Okada. There, the manager talks with him, asking him to dispel any bad spirits from the Dinosaur Expo so that it becomes a successful event. However, Lucky Fruit reiterates that he is not there for something so simple because his mission is to prevent the upcoming battle between good and evil. Of course, Miss Okada finds this ridiculous as she doesn't believe in anything mystical, so she wants to head out of the room. Lucky Fruit stops her and then snatches an evil creature from her side. He tells her that it is a bug that feeds on women's desire, and even Miss Okada can see it. The monk performs an exorcism on the spot, eliminating the evil creature from his hand. With this display of power, he tells them that the forces of evil will strike tonight. Still, the woman doesn't believe in his magical power. That night, Lucky Fruit carries out a ritual with Miss Okada and the manager by his side. Grumpy, the producer, tells Lucky Fruit to stop the ritualistic chants because they still have to prepare for tomorrow's grand event. But the monk insists that this is a necessary action that must be performed until sunrise. Miss Okada agrees with this, but she heads out of the place. Although the monk warns her that she will be in danger if she goes out, she refuses to listen. As such, she quickly heads toward the changing room where many women are switching clothes. Later on, Lucky Fruit realizes that the gate of hell is located in the changing room, so he hurriedly charges into the place. The women scream and throw objects at him for his intrusion, but he doesn't care. He warns Miss Okada not to open her locker, but she refuses to listen. All of a sudden, a gigantic monstrous hand emerges from the locker. The monk quickly uses his magical power to defeat the hand. He then takes Miss Okada out of harm's way. The hand is still moving and manages to rip Miss Okada's jacket. Lucky Fruit is about to strike the monstrous hand, but out of nowhere, Peacock appears and instantly destroys the evil enemy. After a brief introduction to each other, the three of them run out to see one of the dinosaurs coming to life. Peacock quickly jumps into battle, attacking the dinosaur using his superhuman abilities. He then uses a mystical knife to make the dinosaur explode. Lucky Fruit also does the same to the other dinosaur for good measure. The manager runs toward them and sees the messy result of the battle. Lucky Fruit sees this opportunity to reveal the shopping mall's past. It was actually a mortuary before the construction of the mall. Peacock also sees this opportunity to brag about his abilities, telling others that he is the right person to defeat the incoming evil forces. Lucky Fruit hates this egoistic display from his fellow monk, believing that he is far more adequate in the job than Peacock. All of a sudden, the evil spirits occupying the dinosaurs begin to appear. The manager is caught by these spirits and promptly executes him. One of the evil spirits emerges and shows its ghostly form in front of the monks. Lucky Fruit quickly performs hand seals to defeat the spirit, causing it to explode. Afterward, the evil witch Raga decides not to show herself to the two monks, choosing instead to retreat from the place. Lucky Fruit feels pity for the manager's soul, so he wants to do some rights for him. However, the arrogant Peacock tells his fellow monk that he follows their rules too much. Offended by his comments, Lucky Fruit squares up to fight Peacock. Fortunately, Miss Okada is there to stop the two from brawling. To cool their heads, Miss Okada takes them to a dance hall. There, she and Peacock drink alcohol while Lucky Fruit refuses to do so. Peacock explains to Miss Okada his mission to prevent the end of the world by finding Ashura. Afterward, Miss Okada asks Lucky Fruit to dance, but the monk refuses. Peacock sees this opportunity to dance with the lovely woman instead. While they dance, the evil witch Raga and Ashura emerge from the crowd of people. Raga points at them, informing Ashura that they are their main enemies. Later, Lucky Fruit sees Ashura dancing among the crowd, telling Peacock about the strange sight. Peacock quickly approaches the evil figure, only to disappear instantly. He comments that he can also sense Raga inside the room. Impressed by the two monks' intuition, Raga causes a metal beam full of lights to fall toward them. Luckily, Miss Okada and the two monks manage to dodge in time. Panic quickly ensues inside the dance hall as people head out onto the streets. Peacock tries to chase Raga and Ashura, but to no avail. He asks Lucky Fruit to use astronomy to track down Raga and Ashura. Lucky Fruit pinpoints their location to a secret island that is full of bright stars, which Peacock quickly identifies as Hong Kong. And so, the two monks quickly pack up and leave Miss Okada behind, although they do this individually. Meanwhile, in Hong Kong, Ashura is within an ocean park full of people. She is currently riding one of the capsules of the Ferris wheel. Childlike and naive, she wants the rides to move faster than usual. The sudden rapid movement causes people to get thrown out of their rides, but Ashura finds all of this amusing and fun. A woman is tossed out of her ride and ends up hanging to a nearby Ferris wheel. Fortunately, Peacock is already around the area and speedily rescues the poor woman. Ashura sees this and feels bad, so she heads down to the crowd of people. Only Peacock recognizes her for who she is, admonishing her for what she had done. Ashura responds that no one wants to play with her. As such, Peacock tells her that he will play with her, making her feel joy. And so he allows her to have fun while he looks over her like a parent. However, while Peacock is getting some ice cream for Ashura, the evil witch Raga finally appears to stir chaos once again. She furiously tells Ashura to stop being childish before taking her away from the place. When Peacock returns, they are already gone. Meanwhile, Lucky Fruit's sect wants to kill both him and his master for being traitors to their group. It turns out that they serve the king of hell after all, and that Lucky Fruit and his master are secretly against them. After being given this order, the warriors immediately jump to action and quickly find Lucky Fruit's master meditating in a nearby waterfall. The warriors surround and threaten to kill him. Only one of the warriors, the bald Kubura, respects the master and asks politely where Lucky Fruit and Peacock are. Although the master tells them that the two will never be found, he tells the warriors that they are in Hong Kong. At this moment, Lucky Fruit has just arrived in Hong Kong. He immediately spots Miss Okada there and asks for Peacock's whereabouts. Hearing Lucky Fruit's negative comments about Peacock, Miss Okada tells him that despite Peacock's arrogance, he is a good man with a good heart. She adds that she has decided to follow them in their mission even though Lucky Fruit doesn't want her company. Still, despite wanting to go their separate ways, Miss Okada convinces him to go to a hotel with her. However, the taxi driver that is supposed to take them to a hotel decides to scam them by taking them far from their location and insisting on the overpriced payment. Lucky Fruit uses his power to reduce the price to zero. Despite this, since they are near other taxi drivers, Lucky Fruit and Miss Okada have to run away from them. Meanwhile, Peacock is investigating the recent string of killings whose methods are all similar to the manager's death earlier. He overhears from an investigator that there is a vampire report at the nearby shanty town. Peacock immediately heads there, finding multiple corpses covered in plastic, as well as people clamoring to see the gruesome event. He spots Ashura among the crowd, who quickly leaves upon seeing him. Lucky Fruit and Miss Okada later see Peacock on the television news report about the incident, prompting them to head to the shanty town. Inside the shanty town, Peacock reunites with the two. However, Ashura appears in front of them. Lucky Fruit is about to strike, but his fellow monk stops him, pointing out that Ashura is actually an innocent woman being manipulated by Raga. Ashura attacks them by hurling the manhole's cover toward them before disappearing again. The manhole leads to the third gate of hell, so the three of them enter it. They are also assisted by two investigators. Inside the sewers, they find numerous corpses covered in cobwebs. Further into the sewers, they also find Ashura tied up and suspended in the air while Raga is sucking the blood out of a man. Angered by what he had seen, Peacock quickly enters the fray with Lucky Fruit following him. Raga laughs at the two monks, telling them that Ashura needs to be punished for having human feelings. Peacock speedily maneuvers toward the unconscious Ashura, cutting off her ropes. Raga retaliates by awakening Ashura from her slumber. Manipulated by the evil witch, the wide-eyed Ashura tosses a fireball toward Peacock. She also attacks Lucky Fruit, who manages to dodge it. Because he did not see Ashura's innocent form earlier, Lucky Fruit doesn't hesitate to strike Ashura with his magical attack. He also subdues Raga, who plans to kidnap Ashura again. The platform starts to collapse, but Peacock still insists that they should save Ashura. All of a sudden, Raga's body becomes twisted as she transforms into another monstrous form. After the transformation, the evil witch is unrecognizable due to looking and moving like an alien creature. The now monstrous Raga immediately lunges toward the group, managing to kill the two investigators assisting Peacock. Seeing this, Peacock kicks Raga away, but the evil witch just laughs at the attack before pouncing at the monk. Despite their clashing egos, the two monks work together to deliver a powerful magical attack on Raga. Afterward, the monks take Ashura away from the place. Outside, Lucky Fruit tells Peacock that Ashura is dead, which is better because this will prevent the revival of the King of Hell and Rule of Darkness. However, Peacock tells him that Ashura is an innocent and kind woman. With this, he decides to take Ashura back to Tibet to save her life. Surprisingly, Lucky Fruit and Miss Okada do not protest against this decision and even agree to come with him. After arriving there, they meet with Peacock's master. Immediately, the master lectures Peacock for bringing Ashura into their abode, telling him that good and evil cannot coexist. Unexpectedly, Lucky Fruit also pleads to the master to save Ashura's life. He tells the master that he wants to eliminate Ashura initially, but he agrees with Peacock's views later on that the daughter of the King of Hell has no choice of her own and that she was just manipulated by the evil witch. Seeing the two monks' passion for saving an innocent life, the master finally agrees to help. Miraculously, Ashura comes back to life, flashing a smile at Peacock for saving her. Afterward, the master tells Lucky Fruit that he and Peacock are actually twins and that they were both born in the year of the goat, which empowers them. He adds that their father was a follower of an evil cult who disagreed with its views. As such, when their parents deserted from the cult, they'd wanted to kill them. The master was able to save Peacock from danger, while Lucky Fruit's master managed to take him away from harm. Now both grown up, they are destined to save the world from the King of Hell. Later on, Kubera and his men all march to the Tibetan monastery to find the two destined saviors of the world. The bald man meets with the master and calls him a traitor. He quickly attacks the master, but instead of defending himself, the master just takes the blow and warns Kubera that staying with the cult will not absolve him of his sins. In an instant, the master dies on the spot. Peacock has just arrived to see his master's body drop to the ground, causing him to be enraged. Even though the warriors are well-trained and well-equipped, Peacock is far stronger than them. Still, Peacock is having a hard time defending himself from their various attacks. Finally, Lucky Fruit shows up. He attempts to convince Kubera to stop their onslaught, but the bald man refuses to listen. Suddenly, Lucky Fruit's master enters the monastery to stop the fight. He tells Kubera that he has killed the cult's leader, thereby granting him complete control of Kubera and his army of warriors. At this moment, Miss Okada informs Peacock that Ashura is now conscious again. The fiery daughter of Hell heads out of the monastery, and a solar eclipse suddenly occurs. The bright weather also switches into a dark and stormy one. With these changes, the fourth gate of hell is finally open. Out of the ground, a humongous fortress made of earth and bones emerges. Ashura walks toward the gate. The warriors attempt to stop her, but Raga jumps in and promptly kills the two warriors, preventing them from even touching the daughter of the King of Hell. Lucky Fruit's master blasts her with a beam of powerful light, causing Raga to explode. However, the joyous Raga doesn't care because her master, the King of Hell, has been revived, signaling the end of the world. Peacock calls out to Ashura to persuade her not to continue. Even though she seems hesitant, Ashura still allows herself to be taken away. After reaching the top of the gate, she suddenly falls to the ground, but Peacock catches her. It seems that her role is already fulfilled. She apologizes to Peacock, telling him that they cannot play anymore. With a new enemy to defeat, the monks and the remaining warriors enter the demonic fortress. There, they see the gigantic King of Hell. Now joining the side of goodness, Hubera and another warrior attempt to defeat him by mere strikes, but the King of Hell easily eliminates them. The three remaining monks hurl a powerful collective strike toward the king, but it has no damage. Peacock carelessly attacks the king with his knife, only to get sucked into the monster's body. Here, Lucky Fruit's master tells him to eliminate the King of Hell even if Peacock is within him, but the monk is hesitant to sacrifice his brother. Surprisingly, Ashura enters the fortress and announces to her father that she doesn't want to be evil anymore. She then rescues Peacock from the king's body. With the brothers reunited, they combine their powers to form the legendary Peacock King, a mighty force of goodness. With this, they deliver a powerful strike that ultimately destroys not only the King of Hell but also his fortress. As sunlight returns to the land, only Lucky Fruit's master and Miss Okada are left. Miss Okada mourns the death of the two monks. However, this grief is short-lived as Peacock and Lucky Fruit are actually alive, along with Ashura. Just like that, the world is saved from doom.